Okay, and we're back. We're just gonna do a really sort of locked and loaded message today. I don't know. I just feel really compelled to. We'll see. I just feel compelled to just kind of speak on some of the energy because I hope that it'll come through clearer for me if I commit to an entire message. So. You'll have to excuse, these are really new decks. So, okay, we'll go with the Fire of Fire, Force of Nature. Earth of Air, or Air of Earth, Shared Breath. I think that's what I was getting. I think that it's going to become very, 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 in our conscious awareness, what spirit really is, which is really just breath, the breath of spirit, and then the fire of creativity. And I just find that that's really, the kind of theme of what's going on right now. And I think that many of us have been consciously creating an experience that will reflect that's what you're honestly seeing people, places, things around you for. Is how you're processing that and how you're wrapping your head around what spirit really is. What makes me move right now? What makes me have this persona or speak in this way? You know what I mean? So really think about, it's about to get real magical is what I'm hearing. Fire. 72. Says, as the driving wheel meets itself, it bolsters the contagion of a life of passion, poetry, and personal meaning. 213, and I just saw that is my personal confirmation. Those are my personal coordinates, so I feel like seeing my birth date reflected. Now I just saw 222. As I'm talking about this fire of fire, this sort of force of nature, talks about how I'm really living and igniting this sort of passion, poetry, and personal meaning in this sort of experience. And so the meditation for us right now is inspiring action, the spread of ideas that drive, allowing for natural energies to operate through me, and learning to collaborate with power. A card of intensity and grace. Let me show you the card. By allowing, we become mighty. When we flow with nature, we have the strength of nature behind us, which is so funny because at the bottom of the deck, there's that strength of nature, which was on the bottom of the deck, quite literally behind this force. From one flame to another, building and building, a contagion of energies that collect and convert by way of resonance alone. Like is drawn to like, and together we move with greater power than the sum of their parts. Where once just a single flame began, a conflagration can come to be when it catches on. Oh, wow. How can I empower myself more? By getting out of my own way and allowing my naturalness to ignite and shine through. This is that energy. Okay, so I have to talk about it. So there's this massive life-changing manifestation. So essentially, we ascended, and it's great. Now, the hermit has been going through this journey, being led by this, stoking the flame of this internal star, who in turn is leading it to a fated and destined path, leading it outside of itself, but through an internal space. So that's the symbiotic relationship between the hermit and the star. Now, when you ascend and you and said star, your internal highest authentic self, make it to said point, you then get to go into this space of your internal flame sort of existing out in the world. So we're coming out of the cycle and the process where our personal flame that we had developed through that ascension journey is now standing on its own. And as it's sort of standing on its own, we were going through this turbulent period where there was a lot of things that we're trying to extinguish the fire. We're making the fire burn out of control. We all can really resonate with that when we're thinking about this sort of that part of the ascension journey that was really about maintaining that sort of consistent, steady burn, passion, drive towards the goal. And I think that we were so beautifully aligned that we had the forces and natural cosmic cycles pushing us and propelling every movement along further. And so fire, we now are seeing ourselves standing as quite literally this force of nature. Collective, someone is viewing you, something, you even are, well, it's really you, right? You're viewing yourself finally as a force of nature. And I think that there is this final bit of allowance where we were still sort of standing in our own way, partially because, of our apprehensions to like being successful. There could be a lot of reasons why you don't want to be successful. Certain things may change that may never go back to previous forms. Like you can't have certain answers to certain things, or whatever the reason that we tell ourselves is reason enough to keep ourselves held back. But in this moment, we are becoming sort of this force. This force of complete and total nature where we are bigger than the expectations. Like, remember yourself as the manifested thing. Like, I think a lot of us think about the things that we're trying to manifest, but a lot of times an easier perspective to take is like, what is trying to manifest someone like me right now? Because that makes you look at yourself holistically for what you fully offer, regardless of what you think that is or how you think that's processing. And it's allowing you to really say like, okay, like clearly the recipe for what I'm serving right now energetically is enough to be manifested by something that thinks that what I offer is exactly what I need. Like there are equal parts, right? Because it's a whole. So whatever your energy is, like if everybody is a slab and then life, society, the matrix chisels the marble slab into a statue of me, all the fragments that did not get used, that got chipped away, those are fragments of spirit that are now out vibrationally in the world. So because we all take our own unique mold, whatever is left over from that sort of residual clay that you started with, that clay block, those are the things that can connect. Those are the things that in life you'll see are often also trying to manifest you, the fullness, right? Like there is a full, complete experience. That's why some people, like, it's not about like needing an other half per se, but manifesting a partner whom complements what their medicine in life is what your energy is. That's how I would describe partnerships, right? Is that like however many, the quantity, the multiples, doesn't really matter. But in partnerships and in relating, the idea is that you are the medicine that is being reflected or needed for that similar personality, right? So that's kind of how we can really gauge the strength of like soulmates and like spirits that we've interacted with in previous lifetimes. Because remember, we're talking about what's behind the eyes, like what's making this all go. So congratulations, Connected, because you are a force of nature. I think that's what I'm going to name this reading, because how do I say, like, it's the truth. And then I got this Outsider Art Tarot deck from this really fun community sort of tea apothecary mysticism shop. They actually, shout out to them, because I need to find their full name, but they're in the Gulf of Texas, and I definitely spent a pretty penny, but I was so thrilled because I always really like a lot of my divination tools to sort of be attracted to me. Like I think about what I end up having in sort of the collection of things I'm doing. I'm seeing this card a lot, which, hilarious, the Ten of Pentacles, right? Didn't even really look down to see that. I just saw it, like, it was like, I could tell it was some Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles, that's what I mean. You're a force of nature, and you're about to receive the Ten of Pentacles, is what I really heard from Spirit. So we're going to go ahead and cut the deck and see what we're giving. And I kind of am excited to give a very concise, to the point message, like, because I feel like that's what I want to hear, so it's exciting. Wow. Okay, sorry, 955 when I looked up. Okay, anyways. So we've got, well, let's start with what we got at the bottom of the deck. Act like you didn't see that. The Seven of Cups in reverse. Okay, so this is when dreams come down. Like, this is, Seven of Cups is like 10-10 I just saw, right? 10 of Cups, like, oh, this is like the kind of celebration, the kind of get together that's like really awesome, but like, we're not thinking about how this connects to our real life. Like, I think the Seven of Cups is another archetype that doesn't get proper, like, common assessment, because the Seven of Cups, like, we go from the Six of Cups, which is your past, it's like the link up, it's like the old fling, it's like the possibilities that come from reconnecting and seeing how we've changed and grown, and in letting something develop over time. Like, that's really Six of Cups. So then you add an Ace of Cups to that, and it kind of turns into like, it's all great that we reconnected, or maybe it's like when you crash into someone's world, but then you like make what's happening a part of your path now. So we have to really think about that, because you always have to be evaluating, like, when you go on, is this partnership gonna actually fit into the 11-11? As we're seeing partnership, this is the way that you're gonna know it's a divine partnership. I'm hearing is it gonna actually fit? Like, when the dream wears off, when it's the dream coming down, right? The Seven of Cups is usually 11-22 I just saw, is usually like the cloudy, like the dream world. It's like the ecstasy of life. It's like Seven of Cups is a lit energy. It's like very, 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 very elated, very happy, very joyous, very celebratory, right? But it's like, dang, like, it's like the hangover energy. Like, bro, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Like, that's Seven of Cups, where you can get lucky. You can have things that could have maybe never happened otherwise. Like, what do you do when that actually comes down? When I have a feeling, collective, that the energy right now, it's like getting poured on you. Like, it's just getting dumped, the value of this dream world. So hopefully you didn't let your dreams die in this last bit of time, right? When things were really getting heavy, those of us who kept dreams alive and found enjoyment there and continue to grow in those spaces, you knew inherently that the upkeep of this also correlates directly to the time when I know that, like, dreams still will come true eventually. And so when that happens, I don't want to not have any dreams that I was really circulating. I didn't want to not have any dreams circulating, so that when something came down, that I felt a reward, because this always happens. This is not something we can control, but it's like the bonus of life when it's that time in the cycle for you to really manifest. Like, it's not just a one-time party. Like, you really live like this, because the Seven of Cups can also be like, you're really in this. It's not just like, oh my God, I got this once in a lifetime opportunity. This is like when it comes down, when it really is like your reality now, right? So this idea of like dreams becoming reality, like things that you only thought in a dream world were happening are going to be very obviously happening in front of you. Because look what we've got here. We've got the Hanged Woman. So this means that you're really needing to get a different perspective. And I'm not going to just say like some blank, like you need to get a different perspective. No, I think like you need to realize that you are this authoritative, right? When we talked about force of nature, that's this energy. Doesn't that look like this energy? Here comes this force of nature, King of Swords, and what's coming towards it is this Chariot, right? This alignment, like something that is manifesting, something is able to move towards this authoritative figure. And so right now, Spirit is trying to get you to say, like, look at, you almost need a different perspective in order to see it this way, because some of you might be letting, impatience or whatever, or you might be feeling like, I don't know, I haven't heard, like, you're kind of like really living from moment to moment, but you have to know that that's what's happening right now, because the fantasy, like, I'm not making any of this up, like, this is the fantasy is coming down, okay? So that's just a really major energy for collective. 14-14 I just saw, which is beautiful. 5-5, big change, you know what I mean? New beginning, needs being met, new beginning, needs being met in two different changes. I'm hearing two different changes specifically. Seven of Swords, impulsiveness, yeah. And then let's clarify, because I can see this going in so many different. I saw 14-41, but now I see 14-44. As I was looking at this impulsiveness, I was just going to say to you guys, I could see this going in a lot of ways, right? This impulsiveness, because this Seven of Swords is the medicine here. And so the Seven of Swords kind of tells you, like, it's one of those moments where you have to be able to acknowledge, okay, I got all these things. It's like, okay, so imagine you're a bug trying to get through this Seven of Swords. The level, everything, every decision, every turn you make as you try to navigate through the empty black space in between these sharp swords is impulsive, and it's on the edge. It's like one wrong turn could be your last turn. You see what I mean? So with the Seven of Swords, it's the level of like risk it to get the biscuit. You know what I mean? There's a level of needing to be impulsive. I think the Seven of Swords, it talks about how like you have to, sometimes you will have to steal from your own cookie jar in order to get what you need. You know, sometimes you have to deceive yourself and the deception is like, because if it works out, the idea is that it works out for you, and it was like a risk, a calculated impulsive risk. You don't really like, it's like 7 swords presented, you got to tell me which way you want to go. Boom, all 7 swords are drawn. What are you gonna do? Sneak out the back. But whatever your decision is, congratulations, collective, because it was a decision you had to make when your back was against the wall and all 7 swords were drawn. And it was like, on guard, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And you surrendered, and look what came in. 10 of Cups. It was the decision. Your 10 of Cups is directly linked to something you had to decide on in the moment. You impulsively didn't have a choice, but you followed your impulse and you just kind of did it, and it doesn't even feel like it was just like, whatever, I'm just doing this. But when you did, it's like it was always destined and fated to give you the 10 of Cups. It's part of this opting in, part of this I want it right now energy. Like, you want your dreams right now, and that's what's coming. And that's what that 7 of Swords really speaks to. That's really and truly what the 7 of Swords really speaks to. What? Oh my freaking... Y'all saw how these flew out. I'm literally the 10 of Pentacles, riches, and the Knight of Wands. This is what I'm talking about. You went out, there was an impulsive decision that you made when all the truths had you backed into a corner. You didn't feel like there was any other option that you really had, and somehow that brought out the 10 of Cups like we just saw, but it leads you, now this is how you're sitting. This adventurous Knight of Swords that's being funded by your 10 of Pentacles. You want to know why? Here's at the bottom of the deck the other 3 swords, the heartbreak. You were dealing with possible heartbreak. 7 of Swords says the risk right now of doing this means your heart is on the line. That's the stakes you were in. So this victory, collective, and the Knight of Wands, he can only be his expressive, he can only send a message of full expression. Full passion, and that full passion translated directly and is now giving you your riches, your 10 Pentacles directly. And it had to do with a very 7 of Swords backed into a corner, sort of deceptive energy that could blow up in your face. That's what's deceptive about it. It's like sometimes you got to tell a white lie to risk it to get the biscuit, and you did that, and not just a white lie, but a white lie about like the back door you were probably stepping out of, not like about your preparedness for the thing, but for like how you had to like keep that on the hush hush because it could really blow up in your face. But now you're looking at 10 Pentacles that are being offered to you because why? You knew the wages for a temporary heartbreak is not enough to keep you from pursuing and having what is meant for you, because we're talking about what was meant for you, so it didn't feel like a gamble, collective. Wow. And I feel like here's the energy that's receiving you. Okay, here's their story. So the Queen of Wands, which is hilarious because the Queen of Wands is passionate. And I feel like 1919, I see with the Queen of Wands, like wanting to, I mean, it's kind of like your glory days, like reliving. The Queen of Wands, like really, really like wants to preserve what was naturally really there. And I feel like the Knight of Wands is able to connect with this Queen of Wands. Is passionate because the Knight of Wands is adventurous. And I think that there's a combination here between like the sort of like new position in life that all of you collective are finally getting offered. This is an offer that's being offered to you because you're adventurous enough to bring out what the Queen of Wands, who's evaluating you, who's really passionate and wants to preserve that passion, but feels like they need exactly what you're offering, which is like such an adventurous take on life and an adventurous addition to a space. So they really need that, and because they're really concerned with how they're going to end and reboot. Like they feel like they have this opportunity to really rebrand and become anew. Like, yes, part of what swayed them was seeing how beautiful, like how worth it felt. Like, you know, maybe something that felt like an ending previously, 2020. Wow, I heard for this Queen of Wands energy that's evaluating you collective. I feel like for them, there was this sort of like death opportunity that with you, they see it as the reincarnation, the rebirth that's worth the death that they just went through or what they're losing. And it may not even be dark. Like it may just be like cycles are ending and like they're needing to realign and find new things. And so, you know, for it to be, if those previous things matter to them, like it might be that it translates, like it matters to them, like what feels it being like of equal or more value to them. And then here's the Temperance, right? Like waiting, I heard 40 days and 40 nights. Like really being patient about when things come into balance, when like the timing of it all, waiting on their own growth and development, like getting really clear on what they wanted. I'm also hearing 2110 I just saw, which is another synchronicity for me, but getting really clear on what they want, I feel like is what they realized they were truly waiting on. And then here comes the Queen of Swords, right? Which is that perfect match for that authoritative energy. And then the Queen of Wands is sorrowful and wise, meaning like she's learned through, this is the person who's spiritually ascended because of what they've gone through. And I feel like that's what's at the seat of this. And they recognize that your authority is also of a spiritual matching vibration. And that ultimately is why it's going to be a yes from Spirit. Let's look at the bottom of the freaking deck. Ace of Cups. Gift of joy. It's going to be a yes from Spirit. Did I not just say that? Like, it's... the renewal is here. I also feel like this is part of what's needing to be seen properly. I feel like this is correlated with this hangwoman energy. You see what I mean? Like, this shift is mirrored. So as this, like what this Queen of Wands is going to be getting out of saying yes to this is analyzing like that internal youth. I feel like I hear that, like that's the connection that you and this soul tribe, interesting connection, like 10 of Pentacles opportunity that you've manifested for yourself physically. Like you're going to like show them like they don't have to put their drink upside down. Like it can be refilled, it can be replenished. And I feel like that's the big thing here, is the amount of water that you're going to bring to this place, and it's going to feel really fluid and embodied. So congratulations on the new opportunity. 2300 I just saw. I'll see if Spirit has any other final messages, because that's a lot of cards. Let's check it. It'll come up. Okay, there we go. 3 of Swords, heartbreak. Let's look at the bottom of this deck. Woo! Yeah, the final. You're going to start to see that not initiating that spiritual truth. The heartbreak right now is tearing up the vibrations that didn't step out on their spiritual truth. We're not ready to be able to initiate a courageous move, yeah? So this is saying from Spirit, the only way to manifest heartbreak is if you don't follow your convictions and live in your courage. There's nothing to fear. I feel like that's the biggest message here, is like the only way to really call in some sort of just painful experience for yourself, or the only way to break your heart again from this point, is to not move forward with what you know to be true, right? Move forward and deliver your spiritual message. And you've done that. And so this showing up, this heartbreak, shows the seriousness of what you were up against, shows the seriousness of how things are coming to pass. So what we'll do is we'll close on a shamanic healing oracle. We love a crispy. We'll finish on this one. Wow, omens flew out. Slow but steady. The synchronicities are coming in fully, right? Be waiting for this owl to really bring you into the fabric of the truth. But you will see, slowly but steady, all of these omens that are really going to affirm all of this. But I'm just really grateful to give this message. But really seriously, think about like what was really on the line is like what truly would break your heart again. And the truth would be that you don't secure your place in the world as the Knight of Swords, the part of you that wants to share and give and have your spiritual message received. What you understand to be true about your expression and what you're doing here, you want to be able to contribute that. And Spirit is saying it's nothing to avoid. Let this heartbreak inform you. Let this heartbreak really guide you and navigate you. Like, it's here because I also feel like we can't get distracted and think that the heartbreak didn't happen, right? Like, that's why we were prompted to go on this journey in the beginning. So know that Spirit has you. Know that Spirit is acknowledging that I'm coming through for you because this happened to you. So we're here to rectify that. So it's just a beautiful energy all together. And Spirit says you're needing the spiritual assistance because your courage was damaged due to this heartbreak that occurred in a previous situation. So we came with this sort of 10 of Pentacles, Knight of Wands energy to show you that we hear you, we see you, we feel you, and we are 2626. We're so proud of you, collective, for all the work you continue to do is what I hear. And we want you to know it's for real this time. We're going to end with one final message because I don't know. Why not? That's what we're here to do. The High Priestess and the Two of Wands, choice and balance. Woo! Final message. Spirit said you really, like, you feel like you're at a crossroads, but you gotta listen to your High Priestess. Listen to the one who manifested this opportunity, your Divine Feminine. Some of you feel like you don't know which wand to grab onto, and we're about to show you it's the wand that's pulling up with the offer. The 10 of Pentacles. Because we have a choice to make, but the High Priestess is trying to make the choice for you. Go to the one that expands your world. King of Wands in reverse, confident. Yeah, go to the one where you'd feel confident about yourself too. Anywho, that's the message. Congratulations, collective. All right, bye.